Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Osteogenesis Imperfecta Foundation's podcast series. My name is Tracy Hart, and I am the CEO at the OI Foundation. On each podcast episode, the OI Foundation brings you information about the diagnosis and treatment of osteogenesis imperfecta presented by an expert in the field of OI and rare bone disease. The podcasts are a part of the ongoing educational effort of the Brittle Bone Disorders Consortium, part of the National Institute of Health's Rare Diseases Clinical Research Network. Our podcast today is very exciting and will focus on patient-centered outcomes research. And we're so excited to have with us Dr. Laura Tosi, orthopedic surgeon at Children's National Health System, OIF Medical Advisory Council member, and the principal investigator for the PCOR project here at the OI Foundation. So Dr. Tosi, I'd like to turn things over to you.
Thanks tremendously, Tracy. It's very exciting to be with you today. This is a particularly wonderful opportunity for me to discuss one of our newest projects at the OI Foundation. Specifically, we have established the OI Research Collaborative, where researcher and community members connect for a better OI life. As Tracy said, we are thrilled to have received a grant from the Patient-Centered Outcomes Research Institute, which we believe will help us monumentally change how data is collected and how we can help patients and family members understand this disorder and live a better life. A little bit about me. As Tracy alluded, I serve on a number of various committees. All are voluntary, and I have not received any monies from any companies. The grant funding that you see listed is purely to support research. So we believe strongly as a team that if patients are going to get the best care and the best information, the OI community needs to drive the science. And this is a new way of thinking. Patient-centered outcomes research is very different from what we did in the past. Before, scientists would say, well, these are the questions we care about, and we're going to set up various randomized trials to figure out the answer. Often, the questions were important to the scientists, but not to the community at large. So we're really looking at a major sea change in how research is being done. In our project, community members are requested to be active participants throughout the entire research process. So this today is really an appeal, a request that you help us by getting involved with this project, help us figure out what are the most important questions that the community wants to have answered, help us think about the best way to conduct our studies. What do the results really mean? And what are the best ways to share our findings? Now, as some of you know, I have been working now for almost a decade trying to understand the natural history of osteogenesis imperfecta. Not just caring for the orthopedic patient, but truly trying to figure out how to live a better, longer life. And one of the challenges is that OI is a disorder of collagen, and which is basically the meshwork that holds us together. And collagen is not just in bones. The body has 13 different organ systems, and collagen is involved in virtually every one. The most important one we're learning about most recently is actually the respiratory system. And we now are coming to understand that pulmonary conditions are often the cause of significant reduction in health quality, lifestyle, etc., for our community members. And unfortunately, that respiratory problems can cause premature death in our community. So this has taken a very high priority for us. Back in 2011, Many of you may have filled out my survey of adult healthcare needs in the OI community. It was called the ANI study, Adult Natural History Initiative. And I always apologize. I didn't know about how to do a survey. It was far too long, far too detailed, and approximately 1,000 folks filled out every single bit of that survey. And I hope you have found our paper. It's online for free, but we want to share the findings. But that didn't solve anything. It helped us recognize how many questions there are out there. And what you see, and I apologize for the small print, is that when we ask patients, is the problem impacting on your quality of life, we found, okay, the musculoskeletal is currently a problem. It's going to be. That's the most pressing problem. But that we also came to recognize that we were under-crediting, under-studying hearing, dental, vision, neurologic. And if you notice, all of these systems, all of these collagen-based systems are very important to our community. And it was a warning sign, a wake-up call that we needed to be paying greater attention to the diversity of issues that the community faces. We also came to recognize when we looked at national databases that most health problems were far more common in persons with OI than the general population. So this is a little hard to follow, but let me explain this a little bit slowly. We found that when we asked patients their OR type, that there often was some confusion. So we also, thank goodness, asked people to describe their OI as mild, moderate, and severe, and that really actually was the most informative. So we are looking at this table, we see folks with mild, moderate, severe versus the US population. How common, what percent of respondents are inclined to report a problem? And some of the things you notice right off the bat: bruising, far more common, interestingly, in mild to moderate OI, but not severe. Dry skin, way more severe than in the US population. Incontinence, interestingly enough, way below. Kidney and bladder stones, twice that of the national. Diabetes, thankfully running pretty close to national levels. Low thyroid, almost double. Constipation, at least half as much more common as in the non-OI population. Hemorrhoids, never fun. Heartburn, reflux, a huge issue. Most of these topics are topics we have no data on. The cardiac and pulmonary were particularly concerning. I'll speed up a little bit here, but notice the higher level of high blood pressure, high cholesterol, pretty much running the same. Shortness of breath, a big issue, consistent with the pulmonary issues we discussed earlier. Sleep apnea, stopping breathing during sleep, 3 times more often. Wheezing, twice as common as the US population. So there have been a number of surveys beyond the one that I did, focus groups, etc., that have all underscored the complexity of OI. The challenge is, if we're ever to have a true understanding of the disorder and how it changes over time, it requires engaging the entire community. And that's why I'm speaking to you today. I don't know how many of you like to read children's stories, but The Little Red Hen is one of my favorite. And if you remember from that story, the little red hen has to consistently say, I'm going to do it myself. And the challenge for OI is it is a rare disorder. The federal government is not going to take over a survey of OI data. They'll help us, but they won't make it happen. It's up to us to do it. And so because OI is so complex and there's so many variants in the disorder, it's essential to try to involve everyone in the community. So that issue, how do we get to everybody, allowed us and led us to applying for a Patient-Centered Outcomes Research Institute Eugene Washington Engagement Award. And I'm thrilled to tell you we won it. And that has been great, and that has led us to be here today. Our project is called Improving Patient-Centered Outcomes, Expanding Engagement of the Osteogenesis Imperfecta Community. We actually launched on June 1st, so we're well into it, and it's a 2-year grant. Now, let's get back to what patient-centered outcomes research is. This is different than when people have said, please come participate. We have tried very hard to be sure that members of the community are involved at every level. We want to answer the community's questions. We have already recruited a large number of community members, and if this podcast gets you interested, please, you'll get information at the end, please reach out to us. We are looking for more volunteers. We are looking for volunteers both to help us make it happen and also to teach us, to provide data. So we want the OI community in every part of the research process, which will also include clearly the evaluation and reporting of our results. Is that when you are talking to your doctors, that they will have access to answers to the questions that you feel are the most important to your quality of life. So this type of research is for everyone. It involves everybody, no matter what their age and what their severity of disease. People with OI, parents, family members and caregivers, and doctors and researchers, all of us. So what is the overview of what we're going to do? As you see today, we're trying to engage the entire OI community in defining the important aspects of living with OI across the lifespan. We are working specifically and urgently to develop a coalition of community members and medical professionals who will help direct new and inclusive OI research. I want to stop here for a second, make an important observation. We can't do this in 2 years. We're really looking for a 50-year commitment. If you're 70, you may not be able to give me 50 years, but this is going to be an iterative process. We can't make it happen overnight. We are looking for you to step up and say, yes, I care about this, I want to be involved, and I'll stay involved. With the long-term outcome that patients, caregivers, clinicians will have far higher quality information with which to make important medical decisions. So in the past, the doctors, the researchers dictated what was going on. Now it's a two-way street. For the right now, we are reaching out to participate. As I pointed out just a couple of slides ago, this is really an effort to have a long-term collaboration to define what the natural history of this disorder is and figure out how to impact it in the most positive ways. So what are we really doing? Well, just with like this podcast, first thing we're doing is reaching out and trying to gain the enthusiasm of the community to participate. You are the experts. We want to learn from you to understand the challenges of living with OI. Hats off to Tracy Hart, the CEO, who introduced my presentation. We are really stepping up the number of regional meetings that the OI Foundation is doing so that we can speak to as many people as we can. We have a dedicated OI PCOR website. I hope you'll visit it. We're trying to have a little something about our projects and about recent research in all of the OIF newsletters. We are very hopeful you're looking towards attending the national meeting in Omaha next summer. We will be presenting not just invites like this podcast, but real data on what it means to do patient-centered outcomes research. And this isn't just for the docs, the researchers. This is for patients, family members, caregivers. This is for everyone. Clearly, the foundation will be talking to you about this in their fundraising appeals, and we will take advantage of the OI Foundation's annual scientific meeting to try to increase the awareness of our own researchers, since this is really a new way of thinking. So, listen, recruit, practice. We're listening to you. We seek feedback from all of the events we are holding. We are trying to recruit community members to sign up for the OI patient registry. Now, I think and hope you've heard of that before. It is our way to directly communicate with individuals who want to be part of this project. So there'll be more information about that at the end of the talk, but we need you to sign up. We want to talk to you. We want your feedback. We are looking to recruit patients, caregivers, clinicians, researchers who want to help on this project. Over the long term, we will use the OI patient registry to begin to explore the questions that the community, not the researchers, develop, and use all of these tools to get the data back to you. So clearly, this one little grant isn't going to solve everything. It's the tip of the iceberg, but we think this project will make us far more interesting to grant funders in the future to raise money for more in-depth projects that answer more of the questions you want answered. So my personal long-term pie-in-the-sky goal is a lasting collaboration that leads to better and more up-to-date information. But once again, I believe this is a 50-year commitment, not a 5-minute commitment. So we are working at every meeting we have, every opportunity we have on the internet to identify issues that are critical to the OI community, develop with the researchers surveys that will help us answer those issues, or at least start to tease out some of the details. And then in the long run, this will allow us and all of the medical community to deliver better personalized care. What will it mean to a person with OI? Well, we think our researchers, whether they're in the research lab or are in the clinical fields, that they will understand the aspects of living with OI better than they did before. And that this research will improve the field of OI care and support. To our parents, we think the parents have so much to give to this project, and it's important to get their perspectives so that their children live a more independent and healthy life. So this is an adamant request. Please consider working with us. Look for our articles in Breakthrough, follow our updates on our dedicated website, sign up for the OI patient registry. These are the key things to do. The most important members of this project are you, the OI community. Just a little bit more information. I want to introduce some of the good people that are making this happen. You may recognize Mark Birdwhistle, who is a past president of the OI Foundation and parent of an individual with OI. Michelle Dupre, I think, is known to the whole community, and she is leading up our education committee. Cameron Penn also is currently the president of the OI Foundation and is leading our communication committee. Tracy Hart, who spoke to you at the beginning, is the stalwart leader of the team. I am myself, an orthopod who wants her patients to grow older, healthier. And we are very honored that Bryce Reeve from Duke University is helping us with the nuts and bolts of how to really do patient-centered outcomes research. So, just a few questions to think about as you're making your decisions about this project. Do you feel the current research is relevant to you? Do you feel that researchers understand about living with OI? Do you talk about your worries to your doctors and find they're unable to locate any research that addresses your concerns? Do you feel disconnected from the research being done on OI? And hopefully you have heard of patient-centered outcomes research, and hopefully you want to be part of it. So I thank you very much for being part of this. I just realized that how to sign up for the OI registry is not on this set of slides, but I know that Tracy Hart and Rachel Stivers can help you with that information. Thanks so much for listening to this podcast.